Elena, I had a challenging morning. I spent hours in a budget meeting, but we reached a bit of a standstill. It is difficult when priorities don't seem to align, and I was worried about maintaining that positive team dynamic.
I understand, David. In a high-level professional environment, reaching an agreement isn't just about the final decision. It is about the process. You might reach a quick agreement in the moment, but if you don't frame it correctly, you could weaken long-term professional trust.
That is exactly my concern. I want to build a consensus where everyone feels heard, but still move the project forward.
That is the hallmark of executive communication. Welcome to Business English for Success. Today, we're mastering the art of professional agreement building. Over the next 15 minutes, we'll explore 5 practical scenarios, from finding common ground to securing final consensus with senior stakeholders.
By the end of this session, you will have a set of refined phrases to guide any conversation toward a productive outcome while strengthening your professional bonds.
Let's begin with our first stage, establishing common ground when perspectives differ.
Imagine you are in a project kickoff meeting. 2 departments have different ideas about the timeline. Your goal is to find a starting point that everyone can agree on before discussing the details.
In this situation, the most effective mindset is collaborative framing. Remember, agreement is not about persuasion, it is about alignment around shared value. Instead of focusing on the area of disagreement, we use the shared objective technique. By highlighting a goal that both parties value, such as project quality or client satisfaction, you create a sense of psychological safety. This effectively transforms the other party from a critic into a collaborative partner.
I understand the marketing team wants a fast launch, but from an operations perspective, we need more time for testing to ensure stability.
I appreciate that insight, David. While our immediate timelines look different, I believe we share a primary commitment to delivering a flawless product to our clients.
I completely agree. Quality is our top priority.
Since we are aligned on quality, perhaps we can look at a phased release to satisfy both the launch date and the testing requirements. Now, let's practice these executive phrases. Focus on a calm, steady intonation. Speak after me.
I believe we share a primary commitment to delivering a flawless product.
Listen to how David emphasizes primary commitment. It signals shared values. Let's try again. I believe we share a primary commitment to delivering a flawless product.
Next sentence. Since we are aligned on quality, perhaps we can look at a phased release.
Notice the soft transition with perhaps. It invites a solution rather than demanding one. Repeat after him. Since we are aligned on quality, perhaps we can look at a phased release.
Excellent! You sound like a leader who builds bridges.
The most powerful phrase in this scenario is, I believe we share a primary commitment to. This phrase shifts the energy from me versus you to us versus the challenge.
Interaction time. In your specific industry, what is the primary commitment that most stakeholders agree on? Is it safety, efficiency, or innovation? Share your professional version in the comments. We would love to see your insights.
Establishing common ground is the foundation, but what happens when the other party raises a direct concern about your plan? There is a subtle shift in phrasing that transforms a different perspective into a quality control measure. In the next stage, we will master the validating pivot. Stay with us.
Now, let's move to a more sensitive situation. You've proposed a new strategy, but a stakeholder immediately questions its feasibility. Your objective is to respond without becoming defensive.
This is where many professionals struggle. When someone says, this won't work, our instinct is to defend our idea. However, an influential leader uses a technique called the validating pivot. Instead of seeing their concern as an obstacle, you reframe it as a quality control measure. You validate their expertise first, then pivot the conversation back to a shared solution. This maintains the psychological safety of the room and keeps the focus on excellence, not egos.
I'm not entirely sure this timeline is feasible, Elena. It feels quite demanding given our current resource volume.
I appreciate you raising that point, David. Ensuring long-term feasibility is a priority for all of us. Could you help me identify the specific areas where you feel we should adjust our focus so we can refine the plan together?
Well, if we adjust the testing phase, the rest should be manageable.
That's a very practical observation. Let's refine that sequence to ensure a reliable outcome. Let's practice this pivot. Focus on a calm and inclusive tone. Repeat after me. I appreciate you raising that point. Ensuring long-term feasibility is a priority.
I appreciate you raising that point. Ensuring long-term feasibility is a priority.
Notice how I appreciate lowers the tension immediately. Try it again. I appreciate you raising that point.
I appreciate you raising that point.
Could you help me identify the specific areas where we should focus?
Could you help me identify the specific areas where we should focus?
By asking, could you help me, you invite them to be a partner in the solution. Repeat, could you help me identify the specific areas? The helpful phrase here is the phrase, refine our planning approach together. It tells the other person that their input is a vital part of the final success.
In the comments, tell us, how do you usually react when someone questions your timeline? Do you defend it, or do you invite them to refine it?
Reframing is powerful, but what if the disagreement is about money or resources? In Stage 3, we'll move into the art of conditional agreement, a technique used by experienced negotiators to find a win-win without giving up their goals.
In this scenario, you are discussing budget allocation. You need more resources, but your manager is hesitant. You need to reach an agreement that benefits both the project and the budget.
Negotiation is often a game of if and then. Influential communicators rarely say a flat no or a simple yes. Instead, they use conditional alignment. This involves agreeing to a request on the condition that a specific requirement is met. It shows that you are flexible and solution-oriented, but also mindful of operational boundaries. It is a very sophisticated way to support your team's capacity while still being a yes person for the organization.
Elena, I'd like to move the launch date up by 2 weeks, but I can't offer any additional staff for the project.
I understand the need for an earlier launch. To ensure we meet that deadline while maintaining our quality standards, I'd be happy to adjust the timeline, provided we can streamline the approval process to save those 2 weeks.
That sounds like a fair trade-off. Let's look at the approval workflow.
This time, let's practice a more fluid executive delivery. Listen to the flow.
I'd be happy to adjust the timeline, provided we can streamline the process.
The key phrase is, provided we can. It links your agreement to a condition. Let's try it again at a natural speed. I'd be happy to adjust the timeline, provided we can streamline the process.
Excellent work.
The useful phrase is, I'd be happy to, provided we can. It turns a demand into a professional trade-off. It keeps the conversation moving forward without you having to overcommit.
Have you ever used a trade-off like this in a meeting? What was the condition you asked for? Share your experience below.
We are building strong continued progress. But what happens when you aren't just talking to peers, but to a senior executive with very little time? In Stage 4, we will master upward alignment, how to speak the language of high-level decision-makers. Don't go away.
We are moving to one of the most critical scenarios, Communicating with senior executives. Imagine you need to present a strategic shift to a leader who has a very tight schedule and prioritizes organizational stability over operational details.
When speaking upward, brevity is your greatest asset, but clarity is your greatest power. Senior leaders are less interested in how a task is done and more focused on why it matters for the long-term vision. To reach an agreement here, you must use strategic alignment. Instead of asking for permission, you present your proposal as a way to reduce potential challenges while maintaining growth. You shift the conversation from a simple update to a high-level consultation. This positions you as a partner in their success, not just an employee.
Elena, I've reviewed the proposal for the new project expansion. I'm concerned about the potential impact on our current operational balance.
I appreciate that perspective. To ensure we reduce potential challenges while maintaining our growth targets, I have refined the proposal to focus on a phased implementation.
A phased approach? How does that support our core deliverables?
It allows us to advance our long-term direction while maintaining stability in our daily operations. This approach ensures we meet our primary objectives without overextending our current resources. Let's practice these executive-level phrases. Focus on a steady, professional pace. Repeat after David.
To ensure we reduce potential challenges while maintaining our growth targets.
Notice the balance between reducing potential challenges and maintaining growth. It shows maturity. Try it again. To ensure we reduce potential challenges while maintaining our growth targets.
This approach allows us to advance our long-term direction.
Excellent. You are speaking the language of leadership. The phrase of the day is reduce potential challenges while maintaining growth. This tells a leader that you are thinking about both safety and progress. It builds immediate professional trust.
When you speak to your manager, do you focus more on the tasks or the long-term vision? Write a sentence you would use to align with your leader in the comments.
We have reached the final stage. You've built the agreement, but how do you make sure it sticks? In Stage 5, we master the lasting impression, ensuring continued progress after the meeting ends.
The meeting is over. Everyone agreed in the room. But as we know, clarity can fade over time. Your goal is to finalize the commitment and ensure everyone stays aligned.
Professional influence does not end when you leave the room. It is reinforced in the follow-up. Many people send a simple thank you email, but influential professionals send a summary of alignment. You must define the next agreed steps as a shared commitment. By summarizing the objectives clearly, you prevent future misunderstandings and position yourself as the person who keeps the project moving forward seamlessly. This is how you transform a one-time agreement into a lasting partnership. David, I found today's alignment on our shared direction to be exceptionally productive.
I agree, Elena. I feel we are finally on the same page.
To maintain this continued progress, I will circulate a brief summary of our shared objectives by tomorrow morning. I'd also outline the next agreed steps to ensure our progress remains seamless. In this final shadowing, we will focus on a reliable and professional tone.
I found today's alignment on our shared direction to be exceptionally productive.
Use a tone that signals excellence. Repeat, I found today's alignment on our shared direction to be exceptionally productive.
I'd also outline the next agreed steps to ensure our progress remains seamless.
Perfectly done. You sound like a professional who is committed to success. The key word here is continued progress. Strong leaders don't just finish conversations, they ensure continued progress.
What is one thing you always include in your follow-up emails to ensure everyone stays on track? Share your tips with our community below. Elena, this has been an incredibly insightful session. We have covered so much ground on building professional agreements.
It certainly has, David. Let's quickly review our 5 pillars of agreement building. First, in Stage 1, we learn to find common ground through collaborative framing. In Stage 2, we mastered the validating pivot to transform concerns into quality measures. Then, in stage 3, we used conditional agreement to create win-win trade-offs. In stage 4, we spoke the language of leadership through upward alignment. And finally, in stage 5, we learned to maintain continued progress through professional follow-ups.
These tools make such a difference. I feel much more prepared to lead meetings with clarity and confidence.
Remember, professional influence is a skill you refine every day. Your commitment to improving your communication is your greatest investment in your career.
Thank you for joining us today at Business English for Success. If you found value in this session, please consider subscribing to join our global community of professionals.
Keep leading with clarity, and we look forward to seeing you in our next session.
Goodbye for now, and have a highly productive week ahead.
Goodbye, everyone!